Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so excited to be with you on tonight. We have an amazing show lined up for you all on tonight. It's going to be one that is going to be filled with knowledge, and it's one that you are going to love our guest because he is an extraordinary guy. And I am just so excited to have him on the podcast and introduce him to you guys. But before I bring him out, just a couple of preliminary things you guys already know. If you are not subscribed to the podcast, if you don't mind going ahead subscribing to the podcast right now. And while you're there, click on that notify button so you can be notified when new episodes are uploaded to the podcast, to the channel. And then also, if you don't mind, go ahead and click on that like button now so that this can get shared out to others just like you. And then if you are on the go, you can always listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can listen to that. And then I also want to give a shout out to those who are listening on those platforms because the numbers are shooting up. And I'm really excited that you guys are listening to it on the go while you are out doing your thing each and every day. So I'm really excited about that. And then lastly, if you're not following me on TikTok and Instagram, if you don't mind going ahead and follow me out there on both, my name on both of those platforms is the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. So again, you can follow me on both platforms, TikTok and Instagram at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. So I'm really excited about the guest on tonight because I followed him for some time on Instagram, and he is very inspiring. He is a fitness enthusiast. He's a fitness trainer. He is also a part of the United States Air Force. So he's enlisted in the Air Force and as well as a police officer. He's a father, and this guy seems to be able to balance all of these things out. I know he has a lot of titles. Yeah, I've caught up a lot of things. Oh, and I forgot he's a dancer. This guy posts a lot of videos out with him dancing on TikTok, and he's a pretty good dancer. He kind of like beat me because I did that on my mama, he did that challenge too. I saw him and his son did it, and I did it. I kind of sucked on mine, but he did really good on his. And I am so very excited to have him on the podcast tonight. So let's go ahead and bring him on out. And here we go. Sam, what's going on, man?
How you doing, brother?
Sam, can you hear us?
Let's see. Yes, I can hear.
We can hear you.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
You're not on mute, are you?
No, sir. Let's see. Let me try this one more time.
Let's see here. Let's see if we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't see anything going on with your mic.
Mm-hmm. And we were just talking too.
I'll
jump out.
Yep, try coming back in. Yeah, try coming back in. So while we're doing that, and if you guys want to go ahead and you can follow Sam out on Instagram as well. His handle is Hulk, and that's HULK _. Let me see here. I have that here. Let's see. Hulk _ fit _ AZ 2021. So again, here we go. It is Hulk HULK _ fit _ AZ 2021, and AZ stands for Arizona, but you can follow him there on TikTok. And let's try this here again. Sam, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can't hear you though.
Let's see. Can you hear me? I wonder why. Let me. Can you bring me some headphones? My headphones that.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Let's see.
So try working on that.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. They said they can hear you. Hold on. They said they can hear you. I can't hear you for whatever reason. Let me see here.
Okay.
Why can't I hear you? Let's see here.
There we go.
Sam,
Yes.
now I can
Here
hear
we
you. Hold on 1 second. I think I know what's going on here.
go.
Sam,
Yes.
now I can
Here
hear
we
you.
go.
Hold on.
Got an echo.
Sam, yes. Okay, Sam, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Now I can hear you as well. So let me
Perfect.
do this here. I figured out what was going on here. Okay, so Sam, hey, now we got those technical things fixed. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. What's going on with you?
Not much, man. So originally from Philadelphia, East Coast in the building. Lived there till I was 19. Joined the Air Force, and been traveling all over the world doing that. Landed in Arizona a couple of times. That's where I'm at now. And I decided that after I did about 13 years on active duty, I moved over to the Air Force Reserve, and I decided to call Arizona home. My family, some of my family members live out here. My sister, she just retired, 22 years Air Force. She lives out here. My brother lives out here. He went to NAU and decided that, he went to high school out here, decided he wanted to stay, went to NAU. My son is out here. So Arizona's home now. I also got the opportunity to become a police officer here, as my mother and father were both police officers back in Philadelphia. So I had a really good example of what police officers really should be, and how to conduct myself as one. Combined about 49 years between the two of them for law enforcement. And my mother also did dispatch, so she got to deal with all sides of the coin when it came to serving in that capacity. So I wanted to do that, but my father was like, "You will not be a cop here, because if you ever been to Philly, you know it's wild out there." So I had the opportunity to do it here in Arizona, and I ran after it. So I've been doing that for a while. I'm in a reserve capacity doing that as well, but serving in the community relations section for my department, where I get to be that bridge, that gap between the community and policing, being able to go out and have fun with kids, play basketball with them at the park, throw a football, just chat with them and let them know that, they are able to seek us out if they need help. They just want to talk, whatever the case may be. And then helping out with like the homeless outreach and things like that, making sure people have what they need. My favorite things to do is like around Christmas time, we get to serve hundreds and hundreds of families with our toy drive, and we're able to just bring joy to children that otherwise probably wouldn't have anything. So that's the main reason why I got into policing in the first place, was to change that negative stigma that the media likes to push a lot, and just show people that law enforcement is, majority of the time, law enforcement is just out there trying to help. And there are some unfortunate things that happen, but it's a thankless job that somebody has to do, and I'd rather be doing it as someone who cares than someone who just needs a position. So I enjoy it, and yeah, I love serving my community and country.
Wow. So by both of your parents being police officers, did that inspire you to do it, or do you think this just naturally came to you to do it?
So it inspired me to do it. So my sisters were the reason why I joined the military. My older sister was Army for 4 years. She had to get out because of some medical stuff. And like I said, my other sister had been in the service, I think at that time, for about 5 or 6 years already. And so I decided I needed to get out of Philadelphia, join the Air Force. And of course, looking at my mom and dad all my life, they definitely drove me to want to be a police officer. So when I had the opportunity to do it, I jumped at it.
Wow, that is pretty cool. So, like, how do you, because, like, now I know you're a community relations officer. See, if I would have been a cop, I would have to be a detective, like on First 48,
Yeah.
doing breaking that kind of stuff. I would
Yeah.
have to be that dude there. So, like, with you, what is your long-term goal within, being a police officer? Do you want to like move up the ranks with that, or?
So, I mean, I like the ground level. Actually being out there and doing things. I'm not really one for desk work, which unfortunately, I would say, fortunately and unfortunately, I'm kind of being pushed to that aspect as far as my Air Force career, because about 2 months ago, I got promoted to Master Sergeant, which is a leadership role, so to speak. But I still like to be out there with my guys, getting dirty. We work on the F-35 fighter jet. So I like to get out there and be with them, see what they're doing and stuff, but then help on the back end as far as some of the managerial things. But I don't know. I like the grind. I like being out there and doing things. So it's fun for me. I like getting out in the community, talking to the kids, and breaking that cycle of don't talk to the police, things like that. I want that to stop, because in certain instances that can be a real big hindrance in us getting our job done and being able to help people. So yeah, I like the ground level.
Yeah, and with you still being in the Air Force Reserve and being, so how do you balance everything? Because like I said, you're a fitness trainer,
Mhm.
you are in the Air Force, you're a police officer, you're a dad. Like, how do you find balance? Because looking at you on Instagram, it looked like you are excelling in all of those. It looks like you're doing an amazing job. So how do you find that balance that you can equally do an amazing job?
So as far as all the things that I do have going on, like the Air Force is typically 1 week in a month that I have to devote to that. There are a few things that's coming up in the near future that's going to require some more of my time in that. And then with the police officer role as a reserve officer, I'm only obligated to do one shift in order to fulfill that. I do a lot more than that, when it comes to training and things like that, to stay up to par with those things. And then as a dad, I have a my son being here in Arizona. Me and his mother have a great relationship, so we balance that out. Whenever uh, me and him want to get together, go play ball, go work out because I train him at the gym too. You probably see some of his videos pop up on my Instagram of me training with him, or post in my stories. But you just this is the way I look at things. People make time for what they want. When people tell you they don't have time to do this, they don't have time to do that, it's not a priority. So I make sure that I put in time into all those areas. Now, as far as training goes, I'm not doing as much training as I was before. I was a group fitness instructor before, and now I usually just help people with setting up workout plans. And that's pretty simple because I have a lot of them built already. So I kind of get where they want to be and I help them out with that. But I definitely got to go get my workout in because that's my sanity. The gym is my sanity. It keeps me grounded, because it's not just about the aesthetics and looking good. It's the mental aspect of the gym that drives me more and more to go there, because this world is crazy, man. You gotta
Yeah.
have that. You gotta have an outlet that's not alcohol, that's not drugs, that's not running the streets. So that's mine.
Yeah, wow. So I know someone is probably out there thinking like, so if someone, and I don't want us to miss this opportunity, if someone wanted to get a workout plan from you, how can they, where should they hit you up on Instagram?
Yep, hit me up on Instagram, because both of my TikToks have the messaging on my TikToks has been shut off because I would send out business messages and TikTok, they didn't like it. So shoot me a message on Instagram. Tell me what you're looking for, what you're trying to do, and we can work together to make something happen.
Good.
Uh,
And his Instagram information is scrolling across the bottom down there, Hulk_fit_AZ 2021. So you can hit him up there. So I have a question for you. So yeah, we have a question that already came in for you. Hold on, let me grab that question here. So question is from Lakeisha. I got a question for you. Can you join the military if you've been arrested with a misdemeanor on your record?
There are, everything is a case by case basis. It all depends on what it was, how long it was, what the outcome of it was. The best advice I would have for that is to contact your local recruiting station, and they will be able to give you more information on that. They may require some information from you, maybe record or something like that to be able to speak to it. But yeah, I know there's people who have done silly stuff when they were younger and was still able to join the service and led very, very promising careers. So don't give up hope on that. Just do the research as far as reaching out, and they should be able to take care of you.
Nice, 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 nice. So let me ask you this here. What is one of the biggest misconceptions of a police officer from the outsiders? What is one of the biggest misconceptions?
One of the questions I get from people all the time when it comes to traffic violations is, do you have a quota? And the answer is no. So for me, when I was on patrol, if I saw something that required me to pull somebody over, I pulled them over. A lot of times it was warnings that was given, uh, after COVID and things like that, people were pretty strapped as far as, time, finances, things like that. So if it was something that I could let you off with a warning, I did, because I understood that. Because people think police officers and military, we got it made, we making all this money. That ain't the case. We some of us struggle just as much as everybody else, but at the same time, if I can have a conversation with you that changes your behavior versus handing you some paperwork that is more than likely just going to make you mad, then let's do that. A lot of people, I pull them over, their tail light is out or their license plate light is out, things like that. Now, there's certain areas where I was a little more inclined to give tickets. If you're speeding in the school zone or a construction zone or something like that, people's lives are at risk, in those areas, especially children. And I'm gonna protect the kids 1,000%. And then construction workers who are just out there doing their job and want to get home to their families, those areas a little more touchy. But when it comes to traffic, there's no quota for regular city cops that I know of. If there is, please show me and we can laugh about it. But yeah, for me, there wasn't any.
So not even during the holiday to get that free turkey from the police department?
Not even during the holidays. What does happen during the holidays is there's usually DUI checkpoints, because unfortunately people go out, they get a little too sauced up, and then want to get behind the wheel. So we got to protect those streets.
Nice, nice, yeah. Nice. And what is one truth about police officers? So we've dealt with misconception. What is one truth about y'all?
One truth, and I will speak for a vast majority. One truth, I'll speak for myself. The one truth that I can say is, I don't care where you're from, what you look like, who you pray to, who you love. I'm going to serve you the way that you need to be served in the time that, we spend together. Because my job is to handle the situation that you or someone else, around you called us for. So when it comes to that, you're going to get the service that you need to get, no matter who you are, what you do, what creed, religion, doesn't matter. And I will speak to vast majority of police officers that's what they're doing as well. It's the same thing, no different.
No different. Okay. Wow. 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 Because, a lot of times I think there are, people think you're automatically profiled most times, or you're targeted because you may be looking different. And this doesn't always have anything to do with the color of your skin. I've seen some people, it just seems like, I think some people just think you're profiled for whatever reason, and cops just target you, whether, whatever. That's not true.
No,
in most cases.
In most cases, from what I've seen, and mind you, I grew up in Philadelphia where the police are very active, you know what I mean, because of all the nonsense and violence that goes on there. And it's not like because my mom and dad was a cop that all cops knew that I was their child. So if I dealt with a cop, they had no idea who I was or who child I was. So I got treated the way I needed to be treated. I have been not by police, but I've experienced racial profiling before. Um, and it is very uncomfortable, but I'm not going to stoop down to the level that you want me to because you think that that's how I'm going to be. I mean, I have a lot of tattoos. Like I'm tatted up. I have 21 or so tattoos now. So someone can easily look at me and say, he's probably been to jail before or some nonsense like that. But vast majority of the time that doesn't happen. And I don't do that to people either, because I know a guy who went to my old church, tattoos from like here down. I mean, fully covered, and I treat them with respect. I treat people based on their character and their body language, not how you look. You're that outside. What's that famous saying? Never judge a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and that take that into every aspect of life, because you could look like the most thugged out, crazy dude ever, and give somebody the shirt off your back, and then somebody who looks like they're a saint could be the worst person in the world. So, it's just a matter of taking people for who they are, not what they
Yeah.
look
So let's flip that a little bit.
like. Mm-hmm.
So, are there ever times when citizens resist complying
Mm-hmm.
because of the color of your skin?
So that is a very interesting question. And I will say, unfortunately, and this is unfortunate, that vast majority of the time when I've had somebody give me grief for the color of my skin and being a cop, it's from people who look just like me. And it's because, and you can, if you go through my TikTok and Instagram, man, you should see some of the comments I get from people sometime, being a Uncle Tom, and which, just to set the record straight, Uncle Tom was the good guy. So when you call me that, I just laugh. I don't care. But I'll sell out, things like that. And the part that gets me, I have a funny story about it too. But the part that gets me is, in different avenues and areas of life. As far as I know, history, whenever people are seen an imbalance, they say, "Hey, we need more people of color in those positions." So me deciding to join the police force, you would think would be viewed as a good thing. But a lot of times I get very negative responses. And is it a little disheartening? Yes, but at the same time, you don't put food on my table or take it off. So I'm not really going to stress too much over it. But the funny story I had was one day I was on a traffic job, meaning I was just the police officer that was in the construction zone to help people slow down, right? And everyone's waving, hello, 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 whatever the case may be. And then this guy who looks just like me came driving through, never met him before, never pulled him over. He gave me the middle finger the whole way driving past me. And all I did, I just said, hey, thank you. I know I'm number one, but but it's stuff like that I'm just like, why? Like, what did I do to you to deserve that? I get it. You may have had a negative experience with somebody else, but that has nothing to do with me. Case in point, if I come to your house, right, and you and I get into an argument, we have words or whatever the case may be, I'm not allowed to go to the next person's house and take that out on them, right?
Right.
It should be both ways, but it's not. And I get it. We're held to a higher standard. The public isn't. But it would be nice if that was the case, because I've had people who I've arrested tell me I'm the nicest cop they've ever met. I I treat people with respect. Like, you did what you did. You know what you did. Now you got to face what you did. There's no reason for me to treat you like less than a human being.
Yeah.
You know what I
So,
mean?
so how do you get past that? Because it's like human nature would be for us to just cut people off. Like, you do me wrong, you mistreat me, then I just don't have to deal with you. You don't have that luxury as an officer.
No.
Regardless of whether someone upset you, you can't make it personal. You can't make it about them, because you have to do your job, and
Mm-hmm.
your job is to serve and to protect the person that may have just cursed you out, that
Mm-hmm.
may have, resisted anything. So how do you get past that, like in real time?
So I always keep in the back of my mind that uh, we meet people on their worst days. Usually that's when people are calling the police. It's one of the worst days of their life. Um, and I try to take that into account when I deal with people, and I've had people who initially they were like that. They would be cussing at me or telling me I don't need to be at their house or whatever the case may be. And then after me being there and not responding with that negative tone and things, and just keep killing them with kindness, if you will, um, they calm down, and they usually apologize for what they said or did, and they usually give me a reason, a rhyme or reason as to why they did it. Now some people don't. Some people are just like, I don't like you because either you or because of the uniform you wear. And with that, I'm not here for you to like me. That's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to deal with the situation that we have to deal with. If you like me, if you don't, doesn't matter. I stopped that when I was about 13 years old. I used to get bullied as a kid, and one day this bully, he started messing with me. My mom said, "Go outside and face him." And I did. And from that point on, I stopped caring what people think about me. Now, I'm going to represent myself in a very good manner, but whether you like it or not, that's not really for me to decide or worry about, because it's out of my control. So that's kind of how I deal with it. And I understand the climate that we're in. People are way more disrespectful to law enforcement now than they were before. But at the same time, what was that old thing we used to say as a kid? Sticks and stones may break my bones,
Yeah.
but words will never hurt me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you said pretty much cut a lot of that out when you were 13, but like being an officer does that, and having to have that mindset in at work especially, does that transition over into your personal life where, again, you just walk in this level of confidence that you just don't allow people to get into your head about anything.
I usually don't, because like people, and so maybe social media has helped condition me some to it, because you could be doing the greatest things and someone will always find something negative to say, no matter what. And usually there is because they don't like something about themselves, or they just want attention, and that's usually why they do it. So remembering that, I don't let it bother me. It's like water off a duck's back. I don't really care too much. If I go to the gym and I post a video of me working out, and you're like, oh, you did that wrong and this and third, well, I'll try to learn from it versus letting it just throw me off, and I'm like, oh, I'm never going to work out again. I don't care. And I try to pass that confidence and those lessons to people who I know who struggle with self-image, self-confidence, things like that. I try to give that to them too, because again, no matter what you do in life, someone's going to find something wrong with it or a reason to hate on it. So just stop caring, learn from it, and move on.
Yeah, because it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people now, we do turn to social media, and some people go to social media for affirmations and validations from others. And they
Hmm.
may get 100 positive comments and they get one negative. And that one negative, it overturns the
Uh,
100 positive. They cannot focus on that. And
hey,
it's weird.
it's crazy, yeah, because that's what it is. And like you'll have 100 people tell you, "Oh, great job," or "You look nice," or this and the third, and then one person get on there and say something nasty, and you let that tear down your world. Why? They are the outlier, and they said that so you would notice them, and you would respond in the way that they wanted you to respond. So why give them that satisfaction? Don't. Just, yeah, hey, you know what, I appreciate you. This is what I do when people try to get on my page and start some nonsense. Like, I think one of the last videos I had, this one person got on and just commented, and I was like, I thank you for all your support, because every time you comment, the algorithm likes it and more people get to see my stuff. So you keep on. I invite them. I think Cat Williams said if you only got 7 haters, you need to figure out how to get 10 before the summer's over. Like, it don't phase me. I don't. Uh, Opinions are, you know what opinions are like. So
Yeah, yeah. And I honestly, I really think someone really need to hear that because, again, first of all, you shouldn't go to social media for affirmation and validation because you can't take what people say personal because they're fickle. They're going to say one thing one day, the next day they're going to say something else based off of how they're feeling in that moment. And then don't read the comments. If you know you can't handle it, don't get into the comments. Just go ahead and keep it moving. Wow.
yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, so I know you're a community relations officer. So, give us a little bit about that because I have a question that I want to ask you on that. So, give us a little detail about exactly what is a community relations officer.
Okay, so again, we're that medium between the police department and the community. So we have different things that we do. For me in my role, I had done a lot of social media things, so getting that positive light out to the community about law enforcement, the events that we had going on, different community events, or events going on in the city, as well as we did things like what's called coffee with a cop. So we would go to different local, establishments and, see if we could set up at their place, which allowed the community to come interact with us in a positive, manner. We we shouldn't be waiting until someone calls us to talk to them. So people are able to come ask questions, kind of like we're doing here. Kids are able to come get swag, stickers, things like that. If they don't know what the non-emergency line is, or if we want to know if we have victim advocates, if we have high school outreach, things like that, they can come ask those questions and be, in the presence of not only officers but the people who lead us, the chief, assistant chief, things like that, and they're able to see these people who they normally don't see, because you usually don't just see the police chief just randomly somewhere. The police chief has a lot of stuff to do, but he takes time to go and meet with people of the community or members of the community. And not only that, but it helps that local business that we're at too. They are able to get more business and get their word spread of what it is that they do. So those are some of the things that we do as far as in the community relations section. So yeah, that's I guess a little glimpse.
Yeah, so let me ask you this here. So today I received a couple of text messages when they found out you were a police officer. They was like, hey, they wanted to know about something. So I'm just gonna, so when you're rebuilding the trust within a community, and then you hear all of these traumatizing things on the internet, like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago here in Texas, right up the road from me in Frisco, they stopped that family because the officer typed in Arizona and it should have been Arkansas and pulled the wrong license plate. And they pulled this family out
Mm-hmm.
at gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really bad. And then also the other situation in Michigan with a
Mm-hmm.
12-year-old boy who just goes out to put the trash out, and it was someone else, and they got the wrong guy in both situations. So how do you rebuild trust after stuff like that? Because those people are not even in Arizona, but
Mm-hmm.
Arizona is going to pay for those mistakes because those people saw it on CNN, they send it on the news. So how do you build trust after that kind of stuff? And what advice would you give families on how to come back from that traumatizing event?
I know, and those two situations that you speak of, I don't have the full story on, so I will speak to the context of it,
Yeah.
not necessarily to those specific incidents. So, what I believe may have happened in that situation with the vehicle, is the wrong license plate may have been read or heard, through the communication lines of the radio, the officer using the radio to hit dispatch, and they read back the wrong license plate, and it probably came back to a license plate from Arizona that was a stolen vehicle.
That's exactly what happened.
Right. So with that, um, usually there's a double check on it. Be like, hey, I just want to make sure we got that right. Not sure if that was done, but typically there is. And then how those are usually handled is typically what we call a high risk stop. And high risk meaning the vehicle's stolen. We don't know who's in the vehicle. And typically when you are in the process of stealing vehicles, you may have a weapon with you or things like that. That could be a danger to the officers responding. So typically the vehicle is pulled over by multiple officers. Everyone in the car is directed to exit the vehicle. And it's it's a touchy situation because you'll look at it and say that that's just a family in the vehicle, and you know, maybe I'm just thinking of a family, father, mother, kids in the car.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
you have them get out, and uh, they go from there. They have the people come back, usually, facing the opposite direction, come back to them. They'll take them into custody, and then, or they'll detain them, not take them into custody. They'll detain them until everything is found out about that vehicle. Again, I don't know if the double check was done. And yes, it can be a traumatizing situation, especially for the children who don't understand what's going on. They just see a
Right.
lot of red and blue lights, a lot of people potentially yelling, or at least one person, because there's usually only supposed to be one person talking to tell you what to do, so it's clear. Um, and then what they do, if a situation or a mistake like that is made, you do have to do a little more to come back from that, as far as once everything dies down and this vehicle is not stolen, the people in the car haven't done anything, you have to do something to try and fix that, not cover it up, not brush it under the rug, fix it. You know what I mean? And um, the advice that I would have for people in those situations is, yes, is it frustrating? It can be annoying. You could have just worked all day, just picked the kids up, just want to go home. I understand. Try to stay calm throughout the whole situation. I pray that you're treated appropriately in that situation. I get it. The whole cycle of how things work in those situations are, it's scary because you don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? You just see there's multiple people telling you to come out, and they have weapons. But again, I don't know too much about that situation. I'm actually going to
Yeah.
go after we talk about that. And then the other one with the mistaken identity of the boy, I have no context on that whatsoever. More has to be done to verify who you're out with. And when I say out with, who you're speaking to, who you're dealing with as a law enforcement officer, um, to verify that this in fact is the individual. Because I know for myself, my department, we we go through several checks before different things happen. Again, I can't speak for other law enforcement agencies across the country, but
Yeah.
I pray that it gets better for everyone. And the best advice I can say is for people who are in the situation, just stay calm. If it's something that they are doing, that get them on the back end, file that lawsuit, do what you got to do, but just stay calm. Stay calm.
Yeah. And that was one of the things when they showed the one that happened here in Frisco, because the officer, they did become a little bit more, they were apologetic, but the family, they were like hysterical because it was a husband and wife and a son and a nephew. And
Hmm.
the son, I think he was like in the sixth grade. So they were crying. It was a lot of emotions there. And the one officer, she just kept saying, well, yeah, I typed in AZ and I should have typed in AR. And it was like almost like, I need you to understand that. And at the moment, that family wasn't hearing
Hmm.
that.
Right. And so with that, basically the officer has to do more to, hey, hey, crowd control over here. But with the officer has to do more to be sympathetic to that family's troubles. Look, instead of trying to beat it into their head that you're saying, "Oh, I did this, I did this," it was my honest mistake that I typed in the wrong state. I apologize for everything that has happened. Is there anything that I can do to help make this better? And that, let that pride go. You made the mistake. Own it, and let's see how we can move forward from it.
Yeah.
Some people get stuck in that cycle of trying to make themselves understood instead of humbling themselves and saying, you know what, it's on me. What can I do to help you now at this
Yeah.
point?
So we got another question for you here. And it says, how often do officers receive training on how to respond to someone dealing with a mental health crisis?
We actually receive a good amount of training on that. Exactly how often in the year, I couldn't say that without looking at our training record. So, but I've received a lot of training in that, not only through, I kind of have a double-edged sword with the military and, law enforcement. I receive a lot of training from both sides they go hand in hand. But that's as far as the training aspect of that question. We do receive training in different uh, areas as situations come up. Usually, if something happens back east, then the West Coast will be like, "Hey, we need to make sure our guys are up to snuff on this, and make sure that everyone understands how to deal with this, so we don't have a repeat of that." So it is. Some of it's proactive, some of it is reactive to things that happen, because you can't plan for everything, but
Mhm.
you see that there's a need for it, then you definitely need to address that. So I
Nice.
hope that
And
answers the question for Yolanda.
and we got another. Where are the good cops when the bad cops show up?
Okay, thank you for that, Willie. And I I get that's an interesting question. Um, so and so a situation that we can kind of speak to is that, and forgive me if I get the place wrong, but I want to say it was Georgia, where the black officers dealt with that male, and they basically beat him to death. It was months ago now.
Oh wow.
um, it was a situation where they showed up, and they, were not doing pretty much anything that they should have been doing. And that question of where are the good officers when the bad cops show up, that's a tough one, because I know for me, if I showed up to a situation where an officer is maybe speaking to someone or dealing with a particular individual, and things start getting out of hand, what should be happening is a pause or a timeout, strategic pause, if you will, to say, hey, you know what? Um, let me jump in here. Let me talk to the individual, because that individual could have been hot with that officer, and you talk to someone else and get a different change of tone, change of pace, and things can be de-escalated. So that's the one good thing I will say about the department that I work for. We have a very good grasp on what we call verbal judo, to de-escalate situations with talking, as opposed to trying to overpower the next person. So if I showed up and someone was doing something they didn't need to do, I would address it. That's as far as I can answer that.
And I think that's always the question when you see incidents with multiple cops. It's like not one of you had a conscience to be like, hey, no, we need to back off of this here, or hey, this going too far. It just seemed like, where's your morals and your just love for people that you can't sit back and watch? Because I think we know when people are going too far with stuff. And it just seemed like sometimes they would say something about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one thing that we do have to remember whenever we watch stuff on the news is only going to report things that are going to get them ratings, because that does happen. It does happen where an officer is doing something, another officer steps in and takes over and de-escalates that situation. Well, guess what? It's not newsworthy anymore. They're not going to put that on the news. It's just the same reason why majority of the time news is only showing things that are black versus white, because they want that divide to stay there. They do not want that trust to be built. And that's a shame, because I know plenty of officers of every different shade that will, even on a call, give you the shirt off of their back. You know what I mean? Let's say a situation like that traffic stop that took too long and your groceries are now spoiled. I know officers who will go back to the store, buy everything that you lost, and return it to your house. So it sucks that things like that happen. And there has been a few times where I've seen things on the news and I'm like, I would strangle one of y'all, because why didn't you stop this person from doing that? Or why didn't you insert yourself and say, hey, I got it? Because that's what I do. But again, being in the service for as long as I have some differences than other people who've never done anything like that. I've also traveled the world and seen people in much worse situations than ours here in America,
Yeah.
and that changes the way that you deal with people, because people are usually hurting and they lash out at you and they don't really mean that a lot of times, to be honest. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and I saw a question earlier. Marquita asked, have you ever had let me find it. Have you worked with or for a racist superior or coworker? Some of that, yeah, that's supposed to be coworker.
I'd probably say, have I ever worked with or for a racist superior? Or no, because I'm the type of person, I'm not a yes man. I will say something about it and I will beat my drum until you listen. I don't, your position or rank matters none to me when it comes to those types of things. I don't tolerate that type of stuff, and I'm not God, I'm not king, but at the same time, I'd rather walk away from that situation and let that, I'm not going to be a part of that type of cycle, because I will say something, I will bring it up, but I've never had a work for someone who was a blatantly racist or anything like that. And I don't know, maybe I intimidate people to where they don't say those types of things around me, I don't know. But no, yeah, no, I've never experienced that, Marquis.
Yeah, they just hide on Instagram behind their computers and say it in your comments. They
they
won't say it in your face.
they won't. They
Yeah.
won't.
They won't say. So let me ask you this here, Sam. So every day, how do you prepare to go into work? Because you can get called out for a call in, and it'd be just a dispute, just a verbal dispute. But by the time you get there, it's a full blown out fight.
Hmm.
So how do you prepare every day when you're going into work mentally and emotionally? Because you have a pretty your day could be
It go any
a
direction.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I start off my day by praying that I make it home to my kids and stuff like that, because that's, for me, that's the biggest protection that I have out there. I have a cross under the badge that I wear. I have a cross under my police placard, so that, because there are people out there who will literally just come after me just because of the uniform I wear. So that's how I prepare to go in. I try to keep an open mind to most things, because we can start to a call and it'll just be a verbal dispute, and while we're driving there we'll get further information, and now there's 10 people fighting in the street and we got to get there, so that makes us respond quicker and things like that. But you still got to get there and figure out what's going on. You still have to get there and get the lay of the land. Now that may require people to be put in handcuffs and things like that because they just don't want to stop. But you still have to figure it out. So typically when you get there, if someone's put in handcuffs, it's a detention to figure out what's going on. So, verbal argument over something at the bar, because I've had quite a few of those. Someone said something somebody didn't like, and this person did this. Well, now we got to figure out who was at fault, who did something wrong, and then we got to address it in the appropriate manner. So the best way to describe it is to you know stay prayed up and stay open minded to everything that you're going to encounter, because things happen in a matter of seconds, and something that could be completely calm can change to something that does drastic very quick.
Right. And that's a great segue into this next question here. So, how do you feel about the Alabama incident? Do you think that it was necessary for one race to stick together for once, or what? Because I think initially it just started out with the two men,
What
you
was that?
know, the brawl at the lake where the people got
Oh, yeah,
into
yeah.
fight.
I've been seeing that on Instagram a lot, and I still don't know what caused that to start. Now, just in general, and generally speaking, not necessarily about this incident, but from what I could see is if you got a group of people that just started some nonsense with one person, you know, and they have nobody around. I know for me, being who I am, if I see something like that, I'm going to step up and, one, try to figure out what's going on, and two, try to make sure this person doesn't get beat to death or something like that. That just de-escalate it. And I've done this off duty. Like I don't have to be on duty to decide to help. Now, to the level that it was taken, I don't know that I would have wanted to get that far. Because it went from, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 of them and the
Yeah.
one, and then a mob came out of nowhere and just started beating it. Now, see, that's not how you solve that situation. Okay. The way that you do solve that situation is people who are coming to help him, you break that up and tell those people they need to go. Now, if they keep coming at you, that's different. That's self-defense, things like that. But some of the stuff I saw, like dudes coming in and grabbing the women and swinging on them, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Like I get it. You're helping defend somebody, but get them off of them, separate them. Again, tell them to chill out, and let's figure it out from there. But you don't solve a situation by escalating it. You don't. That's not how it gets done. It got way worse,
Yeah.
way what it needed to be. What could have happened is those people could have been broke up, and let's say law enforcement got there and figured out that these people just antagonized this dude and attacked him. They're all going to jail. Their stupid little boat gonna be impounded. You know what I mean? Like let that play out that way. But now you got you coming in and assaulting someone, because once they're broken up, that self-defense goes away. Once you stop it, that goes away, and you start attacking them, that now you're gonna also go to jail. You're gonna have charges against you, and people don't understand that. You can't just decide that you're gonna do something and think that there's gonna be potentially no consequences for you whatsoever. You know what I mean? Now, if I saw a dude and he just smacked a woman, and then I grabbed the woman away, and dude comes after me, that's self-defense. Now, if I separate them and they tell him, she's telling me what's going on, and then I decide to go attack him and beat him and do it, I'm now assaulting him. You know what I mean? It's people don't have that mindset because they're not in that space. So yeah.
Yeah, and do you think some of that could be from a lack of trust in police officer and the system in general, that they just think that,
Street
and I,
justice.
I don't want to use race here, but they think that the Caucasian people are going to get away with doing that to the African American man because they're white.
Mm-hmm.
You think something that could
I,
have played a part in that?
But a lot of that is, it's part of it because we make it part of it. We keep driving that into our kids' heads and things like that, and that's not always the case. I know, again, in my own realm of policing, I've arrested people of all shades. I've arrested women for beating on men. I've arrested men for beating on women. So, you know, that the whole privilege thing is not always, that's not always the thing, but that's the first thing everybody jumps to. When there's a black and white situation, everyone jumps to privilege and things like that, when that's not always the case. Now, maybe the lack in that area in Alabama, maybe the lack in the police officers there, that could have, you know, sparked it. It also could be a frustration thing. You know, it could be, well, something happened to me in a similar situation. Now I want to get back at somebody. But again, you put yourself in a bad situation because you don't know who these people are. You don't know what's really going on. You know, what if that, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, what if that dude had just grabbed like one of the little kids' butt or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just gotta, that's why I say separate first, figure out what's going on, and then we go in with whatever we're gonna do, because that person could have been in the wrong and needed to be confronted. And now you're beating on people who are just trying to take care of their situation, and you just don't know. So it's, again, we got to stop this black white stuff, man. We got to. I know too many people of other shades that are amazing. And I know people who are the same shade as me who don't give two you know what's about me. You know, so it's just a situation that we got to do more work on all sides to really correct, because until we do and leave out the media, it ain't never going to change.
But and you know the funny thing about that is that, and I definitely know that the media plays a part in that. But now on social media, people will believe a post on social media before they believe the truth. I mean, they will believe a meme that someone has gone in, created a video, and they will make it the truth.
they'll make it
And
they'll make it got and it's crazy because, like, and then if the let's say someone influential puts it out, oh man, all bets
oh
are off.
yeah,
Gotta be true. It's gotta be true. I mean, look at the Jesse Smollett, or Smouye, however you say his
oh
name,
yeah,
the girl who just got found out for lying about the kid on the highway.
yeah.
uh, Get her name, but you people will run after that instead of saying, you know what, let me do my own research. Most people are sheep. They follow along with the herd and they never check anything for themselves. And it's sad, because if they did, we wouldn't have as many issues as we did, because someone would be like, that don't even sound right. But hey, you know what? Let me just support it just because this person put it out. Nah, you got to do your own research, because you make yourself look stupid when you got egg on your face because you find out they were lying.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
And got another question here for you. The question's on the road for you tonight, Sam. What do you say about someone calling the police on someone, but they are the one who goes to jail? One white and the other black.
What do you say about someone calling the police on someone, but they are the one who goes to jail? There's got to be way more into that, Lakeisha. But I'm guessing what you're saying is if you call with a complaint or something and you end up getting in trouble. Now,
Yeah.
it all depends on what's going on and what you did. So if you just call and say, my neighbors are having a party and it's too loud, can you please go tell them to turn it down? You're not going to jail. You're not even getting a ticket. You might not even have any contact with the officer when they get there. Now, if before you called, you went and kicked their door in and cussed them out and threw some drink in the host's face, and then you call, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go to jail because of all the nonsense you did beforehand. But typically, if you're calling to file a complaint, then typically nothing is happening to the person who's filing the complaint. Now, if you're filing false police reports, making false claims like, I saw my neighbor drag a body out of his garage and it was just an old rug, then that could cause these are cause for concern.
She said, white guy punched the wall. My daughter was afraid. She called the police and they said she was the aggressor.
But what? White guy punched the wall. Okay, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, boss, with this, but white guy punched the wall. My daughter was afraid. She called the police and they said she was the aggressor. This is a situation where I, being the police officer, would get there and I would separate them. I would talk to one and then I would go talk to the other. And if there's security footage, then I'd be looking at that. If there was any witnesses, I'd be talking to that. Her boyfriend is. I figured it was her boyfriend. The way you wrote it, I was like, okay, they must have a relationship of some sort. And I figured it was a romantic one. So, again, you got to. When people are doing something that they don't want other people to know about, they're not going to tell them all the details. You know what I mean? And again, in this situation, I don't know if your daughter was right or if she was, in the wrong. Him punching the wall, definitely not okay. But what I don't know where you're located either. So laws could be different there. Every state is different. So I can't even speak to that part. But if it was just them arguing and then he punches a wall in Arizona and she calls, he's going to jail because that's considered domestic violence. And it's domestic violence criminal damage because he punched the wall in the course of their argument and did damage. Now, if she slapped him beforehand and then he punched the wall, different. They both could actually end up going to jail, but that would make her the aggressor.
Right. She got in trouble, not him. She
And
got in.
I will caution the whole white thing being the reason why he did not get in trouble, because again, I don't know the context of it. I don't know if you have all of the details, Miss London or Loudon. I'm sorry if I said that wrong, Miss Loudon. But it's always case by case, because she could have done something beforehand that she didn't want to tell you about because she knew you may be upset with her or whatever the case may be. But I pray that situation gets figured out and that if she was not in the wrong in any way, that's completely thrown out. So,
Sam, one final question for you. So
mhm.
why is it that when a domestic violence call is you guys are call out for domestic violence, the guy have all the scratches on him and all she did was unbutton 3 buttons and shifted her lace front wig, but he goes to jail?
Not the lace front. No.
He got all the scratches on him,
Mhm.
but and the bruises on him, and she okay, but y'all take him to jail.
That wouldn't happen here. Again, like things are different here. Arizona has different laws on domestic violence, and again, can't speak for every officer, can't speak for every situation. If I show up, the guy has all the scratches that are clearly made by her. Like if a female had literally no nails like this here, but this dude somehow got long, crazy scratches. I'm like, what did you do to yourself to make those? You know what I mean? I'll ask because I want to hear every single detail of what you did because you're lying. You're going to slip up at some point. Something's not going to match. So, because that happens on the other side too. You
Yeah.
know, people do self-inflicted stuff and say he did it or she did it. We're going to figure this one out. But for this situation, I show up, dude has all the bruises and scratches. Again, separate them, talk to both of them about what happened. We're going to make a determination of what really went on. And then if his was self-inflicted and he's trying to pin that on her, yeah, you are going to jail. If she did all that, then she's going to jail. I've had situations where I get to somewhere and there's one situation where wife was drunk off her behind, had come home from a night out with her girlfriends, husband was just chilling watching TV because he had worked all day. She come in the house speaking all the rah-rah and starts hitting on him. So he calmly grabs her, sits on her, and waits for us to get there. And when we do, we find out everything that's going on. We talk to the neighbors to figure out what they may have heard or seen. And she went to jail. Rightfully so.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, Sam, I mean, we got to get you back on here, man, because it's always gone by like super fast. So,
Feel like
one
it.
thing, if they want to get a workout plan for you, we want to go back to that. So, they tell us a little bit about that for those who came in on the end about your workout plans that you create for people.
Okay. You can shoot me a message on Instagram at Hulk_fit_AZ 2021. Shoot me a little bit of information about what it is you're trying to do and, what assistance that you need. Because I know one of the biggest things for people, they're afraid to go in the gym because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to use. They're like, I think this works my arms, or you know what I mean? So I can help give some assistance there. And, we can work something out to where get a plan to get you back in the gym, because again, fitness is not just about how you look, it's about how you feel. And when you work out, a lot of stress goes away, that confidence builds back up, and you can walk with your chest and your head held high. That's how I walk every day. Because I know who made me, I know why he made me, and my mama and daddy ain't raised no punk. So here we go.
Oh, wow. Sam, we're going to have to get you back on here, man. This has been amazing, dude.
Anytime. I'm always here to support, man. And you seem like you got a great thing going here. Why not?
Absolutely. Man, dude, and one thing I loved how you wanted when it because for those who don't know this, I mean those who listen to the podcast. So normally what I do is every time someone is on the show, I always ask them like, what is the takeaway you want people to have of you when they leave? I asked everybody that, and my job is to work to make sure that it happened. But I'm gonna let Sam tell you guys what he wants you guys to take away from here, because I think he's done an exceptional job doing it tonight, but I'm gonna let him articulate that to you. So Sam, what's the takeaway you want people to leave with of you?
The takeaway that I want people to leave with people is to um, be open minded, be ready to adapt to different things. Um, don't believe everything you see on social media, because a lot of it is a facade for people who are hurting and who want people to accept them. And then live your life. Like, you can't live someone else's life. You can't wish to be someone else. You got to be you. You got to be the best version of you, and you got to find out what that means for you, whether it's for you, for your children, for whatever. But you have to find your why. You have to find your why in life and what drives you to keep going, because motivation comes and goes. It's not going to be there. It's not going to stick. You got to find that dedication into what it is that you love.
Wow. Wow. And I love how you said, find your why.
Mm-hmm.
Find your why. And I think that's what a lot of people, they don't know what their why is. They haven't figured it out. And that is so important, to find your why.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Wow. Well, guys, this brings us, we got to hear, I got a comment here from Brandon, and he said, job well done. Much respect to you both. Gentlemen, take care. Peace and blessings to you both. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that. But everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next Monday, same time. Author Jerry A. Thompson is the guest for next week, and we're going to be discussing his book. It's an exceptional book, so you definitely want to make sure you are here 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to get you back on here next month, man, because we got a lot of more questions. I see we got a lot of convicts in the comment section, so they try not to go to jail, so they need to know how.
They need to know the loopholes. Hey, look, I'll give what I can, but you can't give away all the secrets. You know what I'm saying?
So everybody, we will see you guys next Monday. Peace.
Peace.